co-living with Lauren. Obvious change. The hair has been dyed. I was fed up of looking like Cruella de Vil, and there is no way that I'm unfortunately going to be able to get a hair appointment anytime soon with my hairdresser because of the kids and no one being able to look after them at the moment with lockdown and everything. So I took the plunge and just chucked a dye that matched my roots, and this is how it came out. And it's a bit dark for me, but it'll do. At least it's all kind of one colour. So today's video is on sustainable fashion. Now I'm going to try and condense this as much as I possibly can, and as I always say, I am not in any way some specialist in this or any of these particular subjects. This is my point of view, this is from research and my own personal education, and also obviously like my opinion as well. So you can take my word for it. You can do your own. I would love to know more information. Like, I'm always up for learning more. I love to know people's opinions, and yeah, I'm always welcome to a healthy debate. Not planning on, like, you know, I don't want to fall out with anyone. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to go for it. So this is going to be a slightly talky one because it's quite difficult to get hands-on or show you much when I'm talking about something that's out there. I would have loved to be able to do a bit more, but with everything going on, it's just not doable. So it's a bit chatty, but I'm going to try not to ramble as much and get it done as quick as I can so you don't get bored, because I'm terrible for sitting and watching YouTube videos, and about 2 minutes in I'm like, ugh, bored now. Hopefully it's not the case for this one. So I'm just going to start off with like the idea around fast fashion and sustainable fashion, the effects that it has on the environment, and then we'll go from there. Now, there is so much waste caused from fashion itself. Now, this is without even actually going into the companies, how they work, the labour. Hopefully everyone will remember the whole thing with Primark and slave labour and there's so much. So I'm gonna just like kind of just try and stick to the points of the fact that this isn't about all the carbon emissions, anything like that. It's the actual waste that it produces itself. So for example, all the microfibers of your clothing, when they're produced, there's lots of different microfibers that are getting into the water and into the sea, and these are killing off marine life. They are adding to all sorts of junk that we're putting in our bodies. It's just not acceptable. So there's not only that, but then also it's filling up landfill. It's just pure waste that doesn't need to happen. Now, a lot of this is because of fast fashion. So if you're the kind of person like myself, especially when you have kids, where you just have stuck with the staples for a long time, like you have jeans in your cupboard that have been there 7-8 years that you still wear, and you wear the same tops every day, that's fine. You know, you're actually being a lot more sustainable than you realise. It's more of the fact that it's the buy and chuck away. This whole stigma and this whole thing about how to be cool you need to have new outfits. You can't be seen in the same outfit every day, when actually it needs to be cool to be seen in the same outfit. It shows that you're keeping them. It shows that you aren't just wasting stuff for no reason. We have been just brainwashed into thinking that to be happy we need things that are new, and that is not the case. I know for a fact, if I've been feeling down and I go for retail therapy, it makes me feel happy for a whole 10 minutes, maybe a day at maximum, because it's not about these physical things. We need to be getting to the root of the problem if we're upset or stressed. Going out and buying new things is not going to answer that. Not only is that good for your pocket, like good for your mental health, but it's also really good for the environment. You don't want to be just getting things, keeping them in your wardrobe, and then just leaving them or chucking them. You know, how many people actually take things to the charity shop? Like, I will be the first one to admit that sometimes it's got to the point where it's like, I'm too busy, I've not had a chance, I'm just going to chuck in the recycling, and that's not good. Like, that is something I will never ever do again. Now, if you're bothered about dropping it off, there are so many at your supermarket. Just chuck them in the boot of your car. And at the supermarket, like every supermarket I know, even my corner shop has a donation big massive metal thing that you just chuck it in. Do that. Like, I would rather you do that than chuck it in the bin. And that's going to make a huge difference. Secondly, find donating to actual charity shops, like your good stuff, can make you feel really good. If you see it in the window, buy from second hand, buy from charity shops. Now again, there's a stigma about all charity shops are like, ugh, they're for poor people or they're for people. No, that needs to go. If you've ever watched Wild Child, and Emma Roberts goes in to an Oxford charity shop and she's disgusted by it, and then her friends are like, actually, just give it a chance, and she tries it all on and she's like, put a few more zeros on and it is vintage. And it's like, that's where we need to be at. We need to be seeing this as like nice clothes from other people that just don't have the love for them anymore. It's nothing to do with the fact that they're not in fashion or they're not liked. I went to a communion last year and I needed a dress, and I was like, I begrudge paying so much for a dress that I probably am only going to wear once. I went into town, walked past a charity shop, saw one, it was in my size, popped it on, wore it for the Holy Communion, donated it back. So in a way, like, I kind of rented that dress for a day or so for £5, and then I gave it back. So I felt like it was more of like a charity donation, and I'd done my bit for that charity, as well as it helping me out. It's a win-win situation, and I think we need to turn the head on all these type of stigmas. I get very passionate about this, especially stereotyping stigmas, just something that I just don't think should be a thing. I've kind of gone off track, but you kind of get the fact of like fast fashion is not good for the environment, nor is it good for our pockets, nor is it good for our mental health. And there's a few ways to get around it. Like I've said, shopping secondhand, donating secondhand. If you're not really one that wants to go out and about, or you like online shopping, then check out things like Depop or Thrift. Thrift is amazing. Now, Thrift only is really technically going to work the more people donate and the more people buy. So, you know, if there's not a lot on there, that's possibly because not enough's being donated. But they refresh it every single day. So what I do is definitely just start donating your stuff to places like that, because you can't buy secondhand online if people aren't donating secondhand online. Depop is fantastic for things like that. The other day I was like, I need some new t-shirts. Now I'm fluctuating in weight, we all do, especially with women, that time of the month, sometimes we bloat, we put on like 6 pounds overnight. It's a thing. I needed some more just baggy t-shirts, and rather than going out and thinking, okay, right, let's do a shop online or let's go into town and buy something, I just thought, you know what, no, I'm gonna go on Depop. Went on to Depop and I found a couple of tees that I liked for so much cheaper than what I probably would have bought. Some even designer at like really cheap prices, and I knew that it was fine. And if you're bothered about it, just wash it a couple of times. I did also feel like treating myself in a way that I actually did need like quite a few t-shirts, and I'd seen a couple of sustainable brands that I'd really liked, and I thought, you know what, actually, they are sustainable, they are good for the planet, and I'm not saying you should never buy anything new, because sometimes you do need new things. It's the circle of life. And I got a t-shirt, I got this one with Be Kind, and bought that from a sustainable company. But the thing is, it does get a bit expensive, and affordability for me is something I'm not going to say go out and spend a fortune on sustainable clothing, because it's just not doable. I can't afford to go and spend 20 quid on a t-shirt every time I need a new t-shirt. So yeah, things like Depop, which I've got a couple of orders coming. Facebook Marketplace, local to you. You're like reducing your carbon footprint in itself if you're doing it on the way to the food shop and going to grab a t-shirt. Yeah, things like that are just so much better for you, and it's amazing what kind of money you're going to save. And then knowing that you're doing your bit means that you actually feel so much better mentally. So it's doing 3 in 1. It's difficult for me to not go on forever about it, and it's difficult for me to get the point across without sitting here for half an hour and answering all your questions or talking about individual points. And I'm happy to do ones on different points and different questions and get through to people. Like, if you literally want to know how much waste and what kind of waste is proven to be caused by fashion and fast fashion, then I'm happy to do that. And then I'm happy to talk about different clothing brands, different types of clothing brands, sustainable, how they're not sustainable, that kind of thing. Happy to do that. But for right now, there's so much to get down and to get off of my chest about it, I thought if I just do an intro to sustainable fashion, how I feel, and then we'll just kind of go with the flow. If I'm on like part 5 by the end of the year, then that's fine with me as well. Just on another note, I did mention about the kids. My first was premature, so he didn't grow. He grew, but he didn't. So he is nearly 3 and he is still in between 9 to 12 and 12 to 18 month clothes. So he just kind of stunted, and he's fine, he's healthy, but he just doesn't grow as fast as, let's say, other kids. So I never had to struggle with clothes. He just lasted for ages. So for me, it was okay. I got a lot of like hand-me-downs and second-hand off of Facebook and things like that. I didn't often buy new unless I needed it, and I felt like that was fine. I wasn't wasting loads, and then I kept them all in a box because we were hoping eventually we'd have another one, which we have. So my second has got loads of clothes. However, my second grows and grows and grows. He is a big boy and he doesn't fit in the clothes that Fred did at the right season. So we're stuck at the moment where, you know, you've got this gap where you've got loads of 6 to 9 month clothes in the cupboard, but they're for winter and it's like 30 degrees outside. So it's a struggle there because we're going to need new. Again, I've been loads of hand-me-downs, loads of second hand stuff that I got off of Facebook, but I was still missing like a gap where I needed different clothes for different weathers that were quite light. So to bridge that gap, I bought 2 things handmade from a lovely company that I've always supported. I love supporting small, and I was in a position that I could afford 2 rompers, so I've ordered 2 rompers, and they are stretchy and they should last a good 6 to 9 months because they roll up, they're baggy, they're perfect for cloth nappies, so got that. But the second thing I did, which I stumbled across, is renting clothing. Now there's quite a few great companies that rent children's clothing. I spoke to one the other day and they're planning to rent all the way up until 10 years. So that's fabby if you go through, like, you know, if you're spending a fortune because they're going for a growth spurt. So the one I picked was called Graceful Changes, and 15 items for £30 a month. Now I am actually going to send them back. I've only had them for about 2-3 weeks, but George has grown again, and that's what I mean. I was going to spend 30 to 60 quid, let's say, on like a whole set of clothes, like summer rompers and everything, when actually I've just spent it and I know it's going back somewhere and then going to somewhere else. So mentally that makes me feel a lot better, rather than just either chucking it in a cupboard or trying to sell it on Facebook, which is a right faff, or anything like that. So renting clothing was fantastic, and it's such good quality. Like I actually have some here, like look at these little leggings, and these kind of things I would have seen in the shop and spent a fortune on them. There's some handmade bits as well, like nice little, and they don't just send you a random bulk, like you're given a choice, so that's really, really, really helpful. So renting clothing is another option. There are rental clothing out there for adults as well, but that's dependent. I probably stick to like renting things for posh occasions if you ever get to go anywhere like that. I don't. So yeah, I think I have rambled on long enough. I think I've got my point across. Please, please comment any questions, anything that you want to discuss, and I will be back to discuss it all with you. And yeah, have a lovely day. Enjoy the weekend whenever you're watching this. And yeah, enjoy yourselves, educate. Please like, subscribe, and then I'd love it if you share with your friends. And yeah, I'll be back soon for another video.